Hi there. Welcome. Just getting started a little early, waiting for peeps to come on. I figure some people will probably try to get on early.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
No problem. Oh, you know what? I need to share this. And, there we go. Hey y'all, welcome. Trying to get, all right, admit all. Hey, I love seeing y'all's faces. Hi Alexa, I see you're on it. Look, red lipstick and black.
I know, except I did it with my daughter standing below me, so I kind of looked like the Joker because it was like scary.
No problem. I totally understand. Makeup doesn't happen much these days with quarantining, so.
Not at all. It's so bad. I don't think my foundation matches anymore because I've gotten so pale.
Yeah, sitting in the house all the time.
Yeah.
Understood. Welcome everyone. Just making sure we're set. Hang on. Wait a couple more minutes to see some other people jump on. Oh. Jess. Hey, Jess, how are you?
Hey, look, I forgot my headband.
Look, Jess worked her magic and got Alexa on here for us today. I'm so happy.
Nice to meet you. Look, Zeus wants to participate tonight too.
Oh,
Yes.
awesome. Okay, a couple more people. Oh, there's 8 more people coming in. Hang on.
Oh, wow.
Okay, maybe not 8. I was looking at that wrong. Okay. All right. Hi, Miss Bridget. I see you over there.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, welcome, Bernadette. Okay, I guess we can get started. I'll keep an eye out for participants coming in. First of all, Alexa, thank you so much for being here with us. I've been holding off reading. Oh, no problem. I've been holding off reading this book for a while because I knew I wanted it to be a book club pick. And then I saw that the 4th one is coming out. So I was like, let's go ahead and bump this up so we can get it going because I've heard such great things. So I'm excited that we read this. Overall, for me, 5 stars. This was right up my alley. Romance, drama. I love all of that. I'm like, give it to me. It's just like watching reality TV, and that is right up my alley. So
See, everybody thought that reality TV wouldn't go anywhere, but look what it did for me.
Yeah, it's awesome. And you ladies can unmute yourselves. You don't have to mute, you can talk and chime in too with your thoughts and what you enjoyed. In researching though, I found out that you were a football wife, that your husband played in the NFL. So this was inspired from your life being an NFL wife?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he played in the NFL for 8 years.
In Colorado?
No, never in Colorado, actually. He played for Baltimore, then Green Bay, then New York Giants, and the Patriots and the Bears.
Wow, so you guys moved around a little bit.
I stopped moving eventually. I was like, have fun. See you when you get home.
Yeah, this is for the birds. Still some people coming in, so I see Kenyatta coming in here. I had to tell everybody to make sure they had real names on here because last time it was like iPhone user, and I know people by Bookstagram names or what they go by in the group, so I'm like, your iPhone, I don't recognize your face from your little profile picture, so. Yeah, Kenyatta, talking about you over there. You got your name right. So you ladies want to chime in with your thoughts on the book? I mean, I've raved, I loved it, so you guys go ahead and shoot out your thoughts.
I enjoyed it. Reading it kind of reminded me of watching the game. Some of that stuff that went on. So when I read it the first thing, I was like, so I guess some of that stuff does happen. It is kind of real. Yeah. The wives hanging out and, all that drama.
The Mean Girls, yeah. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
I thought about Real Housewives, like it's hard to want to be a part of a group and you feel like nobody really likes you, but you're trying to be a part of the group anyways.
Yeah, and they just kept taking jabs at her, like, you're the girlfriend, and I was just like, Courtney, I don't like you.
Yeah.
Not stand her at all. It's constant back and forth with her.
I enjoyed the friendship between Naomi and I forgot it just that quick. Hold on, Marley. I'm sorry. I really enjoyed their friendship, and it was good to see some type of camaraderie between 2 women dealing with in that situation of football and dealing with petty wives. And from what I gathered, they were the only 2 people of color in that situation. So it was kind of nice to see that and them always sticking together no matter what.
You know what? I missed that because now that I think about it, I don't think I had even put a color on Naomi. Now that you're thinking about it, that went over my head. Now that you mentioned
the only person I was thinking was Courtney was white and Marley was black, but other than that, like I didn't.
But no, because they said that they would confuse the 2 of them.
Both biracial.
Because they were both biracial, but they looked nothing alike.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I caught that.
Okay.
Good catch.
I enjoyed it as well. The romance, or I don't know if it's called rom-com. Alexa, what do you call it?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a rom-com. It's a contemporary romance, but I think I'm kind of funny, so.
It's not normally my go-to, but Renee got me hooked on the Jasmine Guillory line. Now I'm hooked on yours, the series. Yep. And so I always say it's not normally my go-to, but I enjoy them every time I read them. So I also read, what was that? The Perfect Find by Tia. I can't remember.
Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 2018.
I enjoyed that one too. So maybe I need to start gravitating more.
Welcome to the world of me and Renee. We live in romance.
That's it. We love it. We eat it up. That's why people look at
the Pisces in us. It's the Pisces in us.
That's it. Fairy tales, dreams. We want that hopeless romantic in us who wants to read all of that. So yeah, I love it. And I'm excited to read the others as well. I've had them forever. Like I've said, I've just been waiting, but I wanted to read them all right away. But I'm like, I know me, like my mommy brain, I'll forget in 5 minutes if I start reading something else. I'm like, okay, what happened? Like I have to take notes because I'll forget like that. So I was like, I can't go on to the others until we have this chat, and then, because I'll start confusing characters and all kinds of stuff. So I know Bridget, you continued on. You read all of them. She was like done in 2 days.
Yay.
She's on mute. Bridget, you're on mute, babe.
Yeah, I'm waiting. Like, if you could go ahead and hand me that fourth one right quick, I can do edits, whatever you want. Just let me read it. Let me get my hands on it.
I'm really excited for the fourth one. It wasn't originally a part of the series. It was like after they did pretty well, they were just like, you want to do a fourth one? I was like, okay, sure, why not? So that's why that one's taking so much longer than the other ones.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Congratulations on the fourth book.
Thank you.
Congrats.
I'm really excited about it.
It'll be right on time for some of us because we just started the series.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, if I can keep pacing myself one a month. That's it.
I like the fact that Marley was well-rounded. I like the comedy, the romance. Sometimes in athlete romances, the people are very one-dimensional or perfect. She looked like she could fall and she got hurt and she got into scrapes, and then it was funny. And then she had friends. A woman having friends is a big deal in these romance novels nowadays, and I like that part. And basically I like the well-rounded characters.
Thank you.
Right, Terry, I would definitely second that. I really appreciate the character development. Not only was she like who she was originally, she grew over time. And additionally, you were also able to see her, how she interacted with her family, which I think is important. Sometimes I've read books where the family was never mentioned. So Alexa, I really do appreciate that. And I appreciate how great of a relationship she had with her father and how he was like a father figure to be there and guide her a little bit through her breakup and then her new relationship. And then lastly, I appreciated the end of the book. Like she took time for herself to realize like what she wanted, opposed to just being like, thrown into something or just like going with the flow a little bit too much. And I think we often go with the flow and we don't know what the flow even is. So I appreciate that about the character and all her development.
I'm glad you liked that. It was really important for me, I think, because my husband played in the NFL. I know how easy it is. Like me and my husband met in high school. I followed him out to Baltimore when I was like 18 or 19, and we got married, had kids, and had more kids, and had another kid. And so like my whole life just kind of got buried under it. So it was really important for me to have like Marley take that time to herself and like understand it and not just get constantly buried underneath a person, because it's so easy to happen when you're just in the world and everybody around you is just so invested in them. So it's easy to get like wrapped up in it. So I'm glad you liked that part.
Speaking of that, how are you enjoying this? Your husband's retired now, and you guys, you're still in Mexico now, right?
Yeah, we were supposed to go back a little bit ago, but we got stuck here because of Corona.
And so how are you feeling doing this we've done this thing. I've been a mom. We've traveled for your job, so now I'm carving this out for me. So how is that going for you and them? Because they're little.
My kids, yeah, no, my kids. I mean, kids are I love them to death, but kids are kind of assholes.
Hello, yes.
They know how to manipulate me a little bit, so they'll be like, "Oh, all you do is write," and I'm like, "You never say that to Dad. How come boys can have jobs?" And they're just like, "Whoa, sorry, like let Mom go because she's nuts." But no, it's been good. I mean, I started writing because it was something that I could do for me. Like, I never thought I would be a writer, and I just kind of started writing in my basement. Like, I didn't tell anybody what I was doing.
Oh wow.
And, but I just needed something that wasn't like, didn't have my husband or my kids involved. And so, so I'm really, really grateful and like still shocked that it's kind of taken this turn. Because when I first started writing, I didn't think I'd let anybody read it, like ever. I think I was writing it for like 2 years before I let like one of my friends read it. And so I'm still really, it's crazy. I'm like, you guys read my book and you guys aren't related to me. Nobody made you read it.
Good.
Yeah, hey ladies. So I'll just have to say, I stayed up all night reading this book. It was so I got started. It was like one of those books where I had to just sort of say, okay, put it down now and get some sleep. And then you can do this tomorrow. But then I couldn't stop. First of all, I just wanted to mush the boyfriend. What was his name? Chris. I just wanted to mush him. I was like, buddy, you are a real top-notch jerk.
Asshole. Just go ahead and say it.
I'm not feeling you. I do appreciate, I think one of you ladies talked about it though, but the friendships, right? They were very just real. The lady who owned the bar that Marley ended up doing marketing for, like she seemed real down to earth and like, no, I got your back, girl. And they both just helped each other, and you saw that friendship blossom. And it's nice just to know that those relationships do exist where people authentically have your back, you know. And of course, Gavin, I was just like, Gavin.
I finally figured out what a book boyfriend was. I was like, everybody's book boyfriends, Gavin is mine.
Yes. I mean, he was just right on time. He wasn't right on time all the time because I think he sort of overstepped boundaries.
Yes,
I mean, I think his heart was in the right space, but he just kind of overstepped. But he was just like kind of right on time. Even in look, y'all, when the kitchen scene happened, when he came over for dinner and he turned around and threw the necklace at her, I was just like, that's him, girl, that's him. And that's why I just couldn't put the book. I'm like, couldn't put it down. I read this book and probably was like, I stayed up till 5 o'clock in the morning. So it came like Thursday, I think, and I stayed up till 5 o'clock Friday morning reading.
Wow. That's
awesome.
awesome.
It was good.
Yeah, it was a nice, you know, kind of rom-com to read, Alexa. I appreciate that, especially during all this quarantine. So I basically read, it was like early May. So I was done early May, like done with this, yeah. And I was almost this close to reading it again, like, I have another book on my book list, so I didn't. I was like, okay, calm down. Don't just come on. But yes, it was great. I enjoyed it.
I'm so glad. I also appreciated how Marley got out of the relationship with Chris, because I was kind of worried about that when he came into the picture and he had the necklace, and I'm like, okay, is she gonna cheat on Chris? Like, what's gonna happen? And I love the way that, you know, the breakup suddenly happened and then they kind of transitioned. So her hands were clean, and then they figured out what's her name, Madison, who she was, and that she wasn't the girlfriend, and which I couldn't stand her either.
We don't like Madison.
Yeah, at all. I could throw a shoe at her, but yeah, I loved how that happened, because I was kind of like on edge, like, is she gonna cheat on Chris? Like, I want her to be the good girl, and you know, I loved the way that kind of played out, so that she was, you know, out of a relationship before she actually engaged with him again.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I must have been reading quickly in the beginning because, and I guess everything that's influencing us with Me Too and all, I wasn't sure her interaction with Gavin at first was good. I missed something in that first when she was flashing back to the night. She said something about the guard and the tears streaming down her face, and I was like, oh, did he do something? You know? And so that's because she was so nervous that he was coming around. And then when he threw the necklace, and I was like, oh no, he like, this is a good thing. I thought, I didn't know if it was going to be, he didn't remember her kind of situation. I don't know what I missed, but then I was glad it went, of course, the way it did. But I was like, because I like to not read the back sometimes too. And so I was just kind of in it like, well, who is this Gavin guy? And why did she leave his apartment and she didn't see him? What happened? But I liked the way it ended up, of course.
I thought the same thing too.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, this isn't good. Like, he did something bad to her. And then as the story kept going, she's like, ooh, that was the best night of my life.
Yeah.
And ooh, you know, but in the beginning it read like, oh, Gavin did something, like, oh my God, he's coming in, and you know, I don't know how I'm gonna deal with him, but it's like, oh my God, he's coming in, you know, I want Gavin.
Yes, absolutely. I thought Gavin was just a dream in terms of like book boyfriends. And I was the same way in the beginning. I wasn't sure if he remembered her, but then I love the fact that not only did he remember her, but he also had a keepsake. Like he wanted to make sure he knew I remembered you. And that he even wanted something, so a piece of her. Like, so I knew it was going to be good from then. So yeah, it flowed lovely. I loved it. So.
Yeah, Alexa, you did a great job just kind of weaving that in there and not telling us what happened between them and just kind of keeping us on it, like, okay, what happened? I'm like, oh, that's what happened. I knew I loved Gavin for a reason.
Was there more there that was cut?
Gavin. What? Was there more
there? Was there more there that got cut, or
I had one.
made it streamlined?
I wrote it like that. I actually, when I first started writing Intercepted in my basement, it was a totally different story. And I got into Pitch Wars, which is a like mentorship writing program. And they were like, we love your voice, but the story is basically a disaster. And so I rewrote it all. And I had to rewrite, it took me 4.5 years to write the first version. I had to rewrite it in 5 weeks. So basically there was no time to like go back and rewrite. Yeah, I cried a lot and drank a lot of Red Bull. But so there, yeah, it was all, I didn't really have time, which I think I'm kind of grateful for now, because when I have a lot of time, I overthink things. And so I'm really happy with kind of how the story turned out. It was just like going with my instincts, and I love it. Even though I had to go fix Gavin because they're like, he has to have flaws. And I was like, why? He's perfect. I want him to be perfect. They're like, no, he has to have flaws. And I was like, I don't think so. So I'm glad you guys like Gavin, because he was the hardest for me to write.
But his flaws
really
were
hard. Huh.
It was hard for me to give him like good flaws.
His flaws weren't all that bad though. They were.
I know.
They worked
really hard
to help her to realize what she wanted. But I think when I DM'd you, I said I wanted to shake her, because I was like, girl, just go. What are you doing? But I get it.
Harley was a bit of a disaster.
But compared to Chris, he was perfect.
Oh, yeah.
I think I enjoyed too. There wasn't this huge love triangle. Like, you know, you had Chris was already getting to the point where he's out the way and she can just focus on her relationship with Gavin. It was not like, ooh, who she's going to choose to be with in the end. Because that storyline kind of gets old, you know, the whole triangle thing. This book, and I think probably the rest of your books, is like, it's focused on people and them getting their relationship together to a good point of just them understanding each other and loving each other for themselves.
Yeah.
Was anybody else trying to figure out what Gavin's race was at first? And then I think there was a part in there where it talks about his olive skin, and then he has blue eyes, something like that. Yeah. First I was like,
Yeah, so Gavin is white, and then in my next book, TK is white, and then the third book, Maxwell's black, and then the fourth book, Quentin is black.
I had TK as black.
Me too.
Wow.
Yeah, TK talks black.
I love me some TK. I think he's my favorite. Well, I love them all. Maxwell's like gentle. TK is kind of aggressive. And then this next book coming out, Quentin, he's just like tortured and amazing, and I love him so much.
For some reason, I think Gavin is Julian Edelman, and I'm like, I can deal with that.
Yes, we had a lot of pictures of him as I was writing
Wow.
the body issue. You can go look up the ESPN body issue, and that was my full.
Then yes,
What's
yes,
his
that's what
name
I think
now?
of. Julian Edelman.
Okay, all right.
He plays for the Hated
like
Patriots. I'm sorry,
Patriots.
but
Yeah. Yeah. But specifically look up the ESPN body, or is that ESPN? Body issue, whatever magazine that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Specifically that one.
Yeah. Or even him when he's skateboarding. Wait a minute, I know way too much about Julian Edelman.
Wow.
Okay, I'm with it.
Jeffrey's over there Googling.
Okay, now I have to go look too.
You know the important things.
Yeah. Sweet dreams, everyone.
I think too is just another reminder of us not judging people by things that we hear too, right? Because I think that happened when Marley got ready to meet Gavin's sister, right? When they went to meet his family, and the sister was not very receptive because of all these things she heard, right? And I think I was like, okay, it's just another reminder that you can't really go off of that, you know, and you need to just make your own decisions and determine, you know, or get to know people for yourself. So I was like, okay, that's another good reminder. And here we saw it play out too. And then I think the seriousness of, you know, what I like, you know, just the seriousness of these head injuries that we hear about in football too, right? Because that's sort of what took Gavin away from even following up, or if you will, chasing behind Marley, right? There was something that happened with his family, and he, you know, so I was like, okay, that was a good sort of take. I wanted an explanation of why he didn't go after her at first. Like, why you ain't go find her? What? You know, but it all played out the way it needed to. And I love the way, because, honey, that was some sweet revenge for that ugly boyfriend she had. I was like, you're trying to kiss up to the QB so you can get these touches on the ball, right. But little do you know, buddy.
No, I love a little revenge romance.
Yeah. So I thought I took that away too. Like, you know, we can't be, you know, you can't judge people. So
yeah, it's nice to see Marley catch a break, because she was just on this streak of bad luck where something is constantly like happening to her too, and Gavin is always there to rescue her too. That's another thing.
Always there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, literally, like at his front door.
Yeah.
That homeless man that set her up, James. What was that? I can't remember what that was.
Yeah.
I was like, didn't see that coming for sure.
Right.
And that ugly cop too. Oh, he was awful.
Question.
Wait, where'd it go?
Can you all?
Yes, I can hear you.
Alexa, was this book like totally fiction, or was there some characters that there were like situations where this happened within the wives group?
So a lot of it was fiction. I mean, a lot of it was more of my like Real Housewives knowledge. But there were certain things, like the little mention, like when my husband played for the Ravens, like we were we had like the Lady Ravens, and we would do charity events and that kind of thing. There definitely was somebody that said like she didn't talk to anybody that was part of the 1 comma club because her husband was in the 2 comma club. That definitely happened. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And I I think that year I was like 19 years old. I was like an infant. They were like, "Whose sister are you?" And I was like, "Oh." And with Madison, with the like weak handshake, the like, "Oh, nice to meet you." That also happened to me at one time. But for the most part, it was a lot of reality television. I would say that in Fumbled, the friendships more accurately depict like what I experienced in my time in the NFL.
Oh, okay. And I was also thinking with Marley, with her saying she had to find herself, get herself together towards the end. I wanted to shake her. And I'm a military brat. And I was saying to myself, because, you know, growing up in a military base, it's like, you marry a military man, you know that he's going to get deployed and you have to travel with him or so forth. So I was kind of like, well, Marley, you said you didn't want to date an athlete. What did you think was going to happen? He was going to stay here, you know, so she kind of annoyed me with that. But I also kind of understood her saying that she needed to find herself and figure out what it was, what her purpose was, so to speak.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like her right then. I got a lot of messages about that.
Yeah, but she had been with Chris since like high school, right? So that's really the only boy she'd ever been with. So she really did need to find herself, you know. You go from your parents' house to this boy, you know, and you've been with him your whole life.
Yeah.
And the issue with Gavin, I think she had was he didn't talk to her about like, I'm thinking about, I want to sign with the Giants. You know, I think in the relationship, she was like, just communicate with me. If that was your plan, you're telling me something, and then you go on and do something else and think I'm just supposed to just follow you just for the sake of following you. I mean, how can you get mad at somebody for that? Like you just made all these decisions for me, a grown adult.
Yeah.
Well, now, I took it a totally different way because he was saying it was a surprise. She had got swooned when she went to the East Coast to visit. She was so happy with the visit and so forth. So I could see him wanting to surprise her at the last minute, although she felt like he was lying to her.
I felt like, I mean, she gained a sense of independence since leaving Chris. She had, you know, this job that she was working for. She was starting to dig into her marketing. So she was establishing a life and kind of making her own thing. And then it's like Gavin comes in and it's like, okay, well, now you got to do what I want you to do without even considering her feelings. Like Chris, obviously she followed him around and did what he wanted to do. So she didn't want that again in a relationship. She wanted someone that would consider her job and what she was doing.
And I think my experience being a military brat, my thing is you're dating a professional athlete. So
got to be ready to pick up and go.
Unless you want to have a long distance relationship. So I was like, why is she? I felt she was kind of overreacting. Just say we're going to date long distance. I just thought she was extra. I thought she was real. I was just like, what is wrong with her?
The key word is dating. It's not like they were married. I can see they were married and she acting a fool. But they were just dating.
To shake her. I just wanted to shake her. I was like, please get a grip. Just do the long distance thing. You had only been dating him like 6 months. It's not that serious.
Yeah. I think it was more of her, not a rebellion, but her being afraid that she would fall back into an old habit. I think it was her really trying to stick to her guns and not just again fall into what she had come out of. I wanted to shake her too. It was like, come on, honey, it's an easy decision. But I think it was her saying no, just kind of fighting that is what I think was, or sort of my take on why she was making it that serious, you know?
Yeah.
And I think my issue was I like the long distance dating did, you know, they had only really started one season. I mean, I was just like, why not just, I was afraid, I was scared she was gonna lose my friend Gavin. So I was like, girl, just do the long distance thing. He'd fly you to every single game. Stop tripping. But so thank you for getting them back together at the end, because I was like, I'm gonna be pissed if they don't get together by
Oh, never. I write romance. There will always be a happy ending. Never.
Landed in New York. I was like, okay, something's gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
It's gotta.
You know what? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I think a lot of it was some PTSD for her too, even though she met Chris at a very different point in his life and started her relationship at a different point in his life. She just had that, I'm not doing this again. I don't want to go, what's that? It's a song by Music Soul Child, Previous Cats. I'm not like those previous cats. And she wasn't, she was like, I'm going to be back in that same box with someone who is out doing whatever on me. Even though he hadn't given her any indication of that before, it was early. It was still early.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of it, right? Like our past relationships always influence, like even if we don't want them to, like what we've gone through will influence how we react to something again. And I think for her, it was kind of her just getting in her own way too, right? Like sometimes we just make things I mean, I don't know about you guys, but you can ask anybody that knows me, like I make things very difficult for myself sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a lot of it. And just her being scared of falling back in old habits, because kind of like I said before, like he was going to be the highest paid player in the league. And so when you're with somebody like that, it almost feels like anything you do isn't worthwhile, right? Like everybody's kind of like, oh, why are you doing that silly little hobby? And so I think that for her, it was just really important for her to cling on to that independence she had found until she knew she could kind of balance both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it because I really felt like in my early 20s, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have took that step back and got my identity, or I would have just took a moment for myself. So I liked it. I teared up a little bit because I was like, I should have done that for myself. but I loved the happy ending. It was nice.
Good. I'm glad. Yay for happy endings.
How did you come about Mr. Donnie? He was.
Oh my God, I love Donnie. I think he was just my excuse to say as many cuss words as I wanted to. I mean, it was kind of like Entourage, the crazy agent in Entourage, but like for sports. And I mean, sports people are so nuts. So it was really easy to kind of go full out with him. I really. Donnie shows up in, I think, every book because I just love writing him so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I pictured Donnie as an Italian guy.
Like a little, did you ever watch Suits? The U.S.
Yes.
On the like little attorney, the one, you know what I mean, the smaller one. That's like who I picture as Donnie.
I thought, yes, that or like Danny DeVito.
Okay, yeah. Oh, man, yeah.
That's short.
But whoever said The Game, you remember the agent from The Game? Who said this reminded them of The Game? But remember that he was a a-hole, but he was funny. But he was the guy with the glasses. That's kind of who I pictured in my mind.
That's who I thought that he was taken after.
Yeah, that's who I kind of pictured too.
Yeah. Then going back to The Game, I thought that Gavin was like the guy that saved girl Melanie after the whole breakup with
the other guy.
I can't remember his name, but the one that came through and kind of like he came through and picked her up after her and Derwin got into that big argument, like when they first started dating, and she went and stayed with him for a while.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so that's what Gavin reminded me of.
I also really appreciated, Alexa, the two different components there, like outside of the love thing. One, whenever her work was kind of questioned, like somebody else was kind of taking credit for what she was doing. And I think as a person of color, as a Black woman, I think often I could present something to the work table and then 10 minutes later it's somebody else's idea. So I appreciated like you kind of highlighting like how much work she had put into like, that gala or whatever they were going to have. And then like them just acting like she was chopped liver. And then I think another thing I appreciated in regards to the character development is outside of that portion, like Alexa didn't feel, not Alexa, sorry. the character, she didn't feel safe after she was robbed. And I think we don't often think about women in safety, especially women of color in safety. And I think often when people are victimized or a victim of maybe potentially like robbery or something, I often hear white women's stories. So I just was really appreciative of that piece as well. So I think there was just so many pieces of this book that I love. Like, while I love rom-coms, there was so many other parts that I was like, yeah, girl, that's great. I love that. And I just really got all of that in this one book.
I'm glad I've realized that I'm not like a suspense writer. I love to read suspense, so I'm glad that you like that part, because I'm like, I should probably not do that anymore. I don't think it's definitely not my strength. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I was terrified too.
When James, what was the quote when he was saying about the like trusting someone or not to trust them, or because they'll do you in? That's when I was like, he's up to something.
Mm-hmm.
It's on my Kindle, so it was underlined, but I think he was kind of giving her, dropping her a hint then, but she didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
And then she still walked through the park with him.
Yeah.
I've never been to Denver, but downtown Denver seemed like a character, and I was like, oh, I maybe I need to go there one of these days.
Go to Denver. I love Denver.
That is beautiful.
I think I might like it in the spring or summer, not winter. But you know, I'm in North Carolina, so
you'd want to go in the fall, even spring. My husband's birthday is on May 16th, and it snowed last year on his birthday. The spring.
No.
Oh wow.
That's terrible.
Oh my God. I went in October and it snowed right before we got there. And the description of like the cold in your chest and the elevation. And when I got there, the Uber driver, I was like, any tips? He was like, go easy on the alcohol because you're a mile high. I said, I'm from Louisiana. We drink all day. And he was like, take it easy on the workouts. And I got on the elliptical and I was just like, ooh, this is just different. I mean, it was cold, but it was a feel it through my chest to my back kind of cold, like taking breaths. It was, I mean, and I want to say it was like 40s maybe, but Louisiana 40s and Denver 40s, very different.
Yeah, the altitude will get you. I always tell people I'm like a professional drinker because I've been training in Colorado, so I can drink anywhere.
Oh, wow.
I used to go out there when I was a kid.
Marijuana convention, Denver.
Marijuana is everywhere. It's so fun. I mean, it's why I talk about it in the book, is like how expensive it's gotten in Denver, because it's wild. Because as soon as they legalized it, everybody moved in, and my grandma sold her. My grandparents were the first people in the neighborhood. It was like the only house you'd see the highways, and they bought it for like $25,000, and she sold it. I don't know, like 2013-ish for like $400,000, and now that same house would be sold for like $700,000. It's insane.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, just like a little house, no air conditioning, nothing, just a little regular house. Yeah, it's crazy now. So that's why Marley lives in a very small apartment with box furniture.
Bless her heart.
Yeah.
So do you have I know you have another book coming up, but do you have another book behind this one coming that may revisit Marley and Gavin?
Well, so I don't know about, this is the last book in the series right now for the playbook series, unless they ask me to do more. There's a character you'll meet in the next book, and I'd really love Vonnie. If you guys have read that book, I really want to write her story. I might kind of try to spin off a little bit and do not totally football, still in like the football world. I'm not sure. I have time. I'm working right now on my first women's fiction book that I'm really excited about. That I'm struggling so hard to write, but I'm trying. So I'm really excited. It's about two women, like best friends. who one is like an influencer, the other is a single mom, and they move in together kind of for financial and emotional support. And I say they're like sister wives because I love my husband, but let's be honest, like when you're with like a group of women, like things just get done. Like nobody asks for anything. Like somebody makes dinner, the dishes are done, like it's the best thing ever. And I'm like, sister wives, and people are like, you're crazy. But so it's just like it's a book about like female friendship, but then also like mother-daughter relationships, and I'm really excited for it. So and then Snapped, I'm really excited about. So we'll see.
How do you think the romance people will follow you to the women's fiction and on and on? I think Christina Higgins does it.
Yeah, and Christina Lauren also does it a lot. They write like a romance and like a women's fiction type. I hope they'll follow. I think it's not as much so in Intercepted, but in my other books, like the female friendship is a very like primary part of the book. It's like it plays a really big part. So I hope that people there. I mean, and there is romance. When I was writing this book, I was like, there's not going to be romance, and by like the third chapter, I was like, a love interest. You guys can kiss now. So there's like some romance in it, but it's not a romance book. So I hope people will follow me. I mean, if this is their kind of book, obviously, but we'll see.
Well, we'll definitely be following. For sure.
Thanks.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Alexa, what are you reading right now?
I just read, I'm a huge Kristen Ashley fan, and her books are kind of problematic sometimes, but like, I'm obsessed with them. So I just read her latest book. I also read The Roommates by Rosie Danone, which comes out in September, and it is so good. It's about a girl who moves in and moves across country, and then she finds out that her roommate, the man she lives with, is actually like a huge porn star, and it's just so funny and really good. And I'm trying to think. I've had a hard time reading. I don't know about you guys, but like everything that's happening, my attention just like I have the hardest time. So I've been watching a lot of Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me the past few days. Like I have not picked up a book, and I'm like, I'm gonna get behind on my reading if I don't start. But I started something new. I can't even remember the name. I'll figure it out and tell y'all in a second. But I did want to make. It's called Blood and Water. I just started that. I'm on the first episode, so it's pretty good so far.
Netflix.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good so far. But the other thing I was gonna say back to Gavin. I felt like the moment that I really like fell in love with him was when she got robbed and she came into his house and the police officer was in there and he was just like checking him left and right. And he was like, that's Mr. Hope to you. And I was just like, come on, Gavin. That was the moment that I was like, okay, this is the guy right here. He was just everything to me in that moment.
Yeah. I don't know. I think she does have PTSD because I was like, damn, girl, let him be a man and protect you.
I know. I would have been okay with it.
Yeah, me too.
It was such a hard time when he was, standing up and advocating for her.
Yeah.
And maybe.
Go ahead. Sorry, Jess. Go
I
ahead.
was just saying, and maybe where we are right now, especially, I was like, look, let him use his privilege.
Yeah.
He will stand up for you. Please.
But I think like what was already mentioned with her, really, she's definitely not me and not a lot of girls that I know, but from looking at her dating the same guy since high school, she's never had any other relationships other than that one night stand. I guess I could understand because she really truly felt like she's never had her own power. So
it was a big deal to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why, but I guess me, I've been single for so long. Let me get a man that just want to, I was like, girl,
that part.
I love a man to be a man. Let him be a man,
And I think I kind of related to that. Well, I'm on the opposite spectrum of Marley, of being single for 7 years post-divorce, and now, just got into a relationship earlier this year. But I'm looking at him, and I'm like, the independent woman in me is like, I don't need you to do that. But at the same time, it's like, you gotta let go of those reins and let a man be a man, in situations where he can be. So yeah, I was kind of looking at that like, I felt some type of way about some of the things he was doing. I think the biggest was moving to New York. But everything else, it was like, okay, he's learning and, whatever. But yeah.
My husband works in Florida, and he's pre-COVID, back and forth. But right now he's there. And so for me too, I was like, the man is trying to, it doesn't work for us right now for me to be there. We've got a good base here. That's not the last stop for him. But I was like, yeah, because I want to be with my husband, but COVID is kind of stopping that right now. But I was like, girl, just go. If the man is like, come, go.
The other thing too, that we probably don't often think about is, a lot of times for women, we are naturally nurturers and it's easy for us to love, right? But one thing that we don't often talk about is it's not very easy for a lot of us to receive love. We don't know how to do that. And I think we had a little bit of that, or we saw a little bit of that in Marley, and not necessarily that she didn't want to, it's just knowing with her little experience how to. And a lot of us are experienced and don't know quite how to receive it. Easy to give it out. We do it all the time, just naturally, but it's hard sometimes, I think, for us to receive it and be okay with it when we do get it. So I'll just add that.
Yep. That's me verbatim.
Me too. I always say, Renee, you just said I think I've been single 9 years since my divorce. So I tell people all the time, I know what I want, but I'm going to be so skeptical and everything when I finally get it that I'm going to push him away. I'll be like, you can't be real. I know it's what I asked for, but no.
It's so easy to get in our own ways.
Yes. I will definitely be getting in my own way.
Yeah. So I have a question, right? I'm referring back to some of the comments. What exactly is a man being a man, right? Because that within itself can be kind of problematic too, right? Because there are boundaries. And after she stated her boundaries, he still, although he realized what he did after the fact, it's like, respect me. That's all she really asked for, was respect. Because she didn't get that for the first, she's about 26, 27, I'm assuming. It's Alexa. Okay, so from high school to 26, that's a big chunk of your life, right? Because you never got a chance to be that teenager. And then you go on into this, I'm sorry?
Oh, go ahead.
And you go on to this, I'm not gonna say follow because he stayed in Colorado, but your whole everything was into this one person. And then even though you knew how he, what he did, sleeping around, you still forgave him, and you're back to square one again. So now it's like you have to restart your life. And I think she just needed that space to do that. And going from one person, I'm not saying from one person to another, but you have to have that space because you have to know who you are. Who was she outside of Chris?
Yeah.
Right. Well, when I said let him be a man, Chris was pretty much squaring off with her at the reception. And she pretty much still was annoyed with Gavin for taking up for her. That's what I mean by some situations, let the man be the man. Like, I would have a problem if a man was squared off against me and my man was at the shoulder, on my shoulder, and being like, babe, have no business. You got this. Excuse me. So that's what I meant by,
I didn't think she had a problem at the little gala thing.
Yeah, she did mention it. She mentioned it then, and then even I want to say she kind of thought about it when When the police officer was acting a fool.
Yeah, I think she did something then too.
I remember
Like
that part.
afterwards. Yeah.
And then when the next day, when Chris called and Gavin
that's
snuck
what it
her
was.
home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and that those are my examples. Like, I think anytime, you know, yeah, I just was like, because Chris wasn't like they weren't having a conversation. I thought Chris was being combative, so I just didn't see the problem, you know, with that. But like when he took it upon himself to call Bryn and work out her schedule for her to be off, when he took it upon himself to call her parents, when he had took it upon herself, and like she said, how is my landlord even speaking to you about my the confidentiality in so that I definitely understood.
Forgot about that. Yeah, maybe he was controlling Renee. I take that back.
Now that
because you were all like, "Oh, I love Gavin."
I read the book last year, and then I today I worked from home, reading the book for about 2 hours.
I did too.
To kind of reacquaint myself with it, but I forgot about that part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a bit concerning in that I was like, that can almost be a little DV-ish, those traits. But other than that, Gavin is my friend. I like Gavin.
I do too.
Yeah.
I low-key thought during the gala when him and Chris were arguing, right? And Chris was like, she's a born, you know what? I thought Gavin was going to throw in there, well, 4 years ago she wasn't, but he never brought that up, right? I really thought he was about to drop that at any moment now.
You know, I thought that secret was going to come out too. I was waiting for it, like, you know, for her to say, like, this isn't, you know, just me hopping. Like, I've known this guy in the past or something. I just thought it was going to come up in some way, and it never did.
Yeah. Yes, I was waiting for him to take that shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he came to the house for dinner, I was like, oh, he's going to be like, oh my God. You know, I didn't know what kind of, there was going to be some kind of, he wasn't realizing who she was moment or, you know.
Lingering, I was like, oh, something's about to go down right now.
I was thinking about that lasagna too. I got kind of hungry.
Like from scratch, if anybody read From Scratch, there were a bunch of recipes at the back at the end of the book. That book was really good too. The memoir though.
Oh, the Italian one?
Yeah, but she had recipes at the end of the book. So if you ever want to give us that lasagna recipe.
I don't have a lasagna recipe. I have a ravioli one though. I have my great grandma's ravioli recipe, so I can do that one.
Yeah. Awesome. Any other questions? We're almost at an hour, so thoughts, final thoughts?
I enjoyed the book. I'm glad that it was, I started actually like the Tuesday after Memorial Day. And so with everything going on, it was a good book to read versus like Eloquent Rage or one of those other books right now. It would have just induced my anxiety. And I think this book just came right on time. It was just a good time for me to read this book with everything that's going on. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I think like some of you ladies, I too been single for a minute. So this was nice to kind of mentally check out into another world. And exactly, I think too, Kenyatta, like with so much going on and us just being cooped up in the house, this was a nice, and I'm gonna call it a getaway. It was like just a nice sort of mental checkout. So thanks. And it was funny too, all those hashtags. Come on now. Yeah, the girl had jokes now. She was funny.
Hashtags are hit or miss. People are either like, those are the stupidest effing things I've ever seen in my life, or people really like them. There's like no in between.
Yeah.
Social media for a living. So I was like, yes, hashtags. Like I love it. It's awesome. They were spot on too.
Yeah, they were good.
I really enjoyed the book. Like the other ladies said, it was a break from all those heavy books I've been reading. And, you know, you get tired. Well, I don't get tired of it, but it's just like I needed a break. And this book was that it was lighthearted, it was fun, it wasn't full of drama. You know, it was kind of just like this is how it could be. You know, which is really really fun. And I listened to a lot of audiobooks, and I don't think I didn't find this one an audiobook, so I had to like read. Well, I read, but it's been nice just to sit and relax and just read. And it was so good where I just kept flipping. I think one of the ladies said she stayed up late at night. That was me. I was looking at the clock like, you know, you got to get up in the morning. Like, home. I was like, you still got to get up, you work out, you know, but because, you know, at home, you know, you can kind of take a little nap, but it was so refreshing. And just, so now I'll probably go ahead and read the other 2 books and wait for book 4.
Yeah. I'm so glad you guys like them and like the escape aspect, because that's basically what like I write for. When I like write, I intentionally like sit and just hope that people have fun while reading them. And I think, I mean, now there's so many wonderful choices of African American authors who are writing fun African American romance. But when I first started reading, it was really hard to find them. And so I just like wanted to write books where it was like Black women just having fun, and it wasn't about the struggle, right? Like that wasn't what their life revolved around. So I'm really glad you guys enjoy it, and like, and seeing us get like our happily ever after, because we deserve them too.
Yes.
Thank you for
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm just like, I don't have to talk to my kids for an hour. I get to talk to adults.
This has been so awesome.
As soon as Renee said she might join, I was like, oh, I'm hitting her up. Because we chatted the other day when I posted in my Instagram stories. Sorry, that's Zeus. And I said, I'm gonna hit her up, Renee. I'm gonna say, hey, we heard you might be coming. So
and it's so funny because I'm so introverted. Like, people think of me as this outgoing person, but I'm literally behind like Book Girl Magic, so people don't really get to see me as often unless it's a chat. So the introvert in me, I think Nia initially had reposted it to her timeline and tagged you, and that's when the conversation and the Zoom and getting you the info first came up. But it wasn't me, and so I was just kind of like, I don't want to bother her. Like, she's busy, she's got a life. Like, that's just how I always am. So when Jess was like,
am I busy? I'm just at home with my kids bothering me.
Jess mentioned it this morning. She's like, you know what? I'm gonna go hit her up, and I'm like, okay, yeah, go ahead and try it. You know, I was like, whatever. And then she was like, girl, guess what? She's like, sis, she's coming. I'm like, no way, I about died. So thank you.
This was so much fun. I'm so glad you guys asked me to come. Honestly, this was a blast. And you guys were so nice on my book. Like, I just got to sit here and listen to people say they like my book. This was the best thing ever.
Great, huh?
We love it. 5-star ratings on Goodreads all the way. Yeah.
Enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thanks. I'm so glad.
Thank you so much. You ladies have a great night. Thanks again, Alexa.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Be safe. Protect your peace.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
How do you cut this off?
I'll just ask the same thing.
Yeah, you gotta hit end.
Bye, everyone.
There should be an end button at the bottom. Yeah, touch the screen.